There we go. Yes. Hello, my name is Benjamin Mays. I live in the city of Richmond. I go to the school Sabbath at Stony Point, and today I would like to talk to you about the effect of wing design on lift and drag. So every scientific experiment has a purpose, something we want to contribute to society or to our friends and family. For my experiment, I wanted to make a wing for a model airplane or a full-size airplane which was very efficient. By efficient, I mean a wing that had a large lift and a little drag. This would make it go higher and faster. For large airplanes, this can cut on fuel, time, and efficiency, and make a higher efficiency. And for model airplanes, it can be the difference between a plane that takes off and one that does not. Background. There are three main laws that govern the effect of wind on a wing. The first is the Bernoulli principle, which says that there will be a large amount of pressure exerted by the faster moving air on the area around a wing, as you can see here. The Coanda effect says that the shape of a wing will guide the wind along its surface, which can help it have a less drag and a larger lift. Newton's third law says that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So let's see, for example, here a current of wind moving across there will cause a reaction back, causing a large amount of drag, but it also inhibit a large amount of lift by the weight. As you can see here, it's a large amount of drag, but also a large amount of lift, so it's a trade-off for that one. My experimental question is, which one of these three wings, block, curve, or slant, would have the least drag and the most lift, or the most efficient wing? So block, curve, and slant were all made of balsa wood, and slant was cut with a saw, and curve was sanded. Hypothesis. My hypothesis was that curve will have the least drag and the most lift, and block will have the least lift and the most drag. As you can see here, curve is very efficient because of its shape, directing the wind in a single current there, which can help it have a very little drag and a very large lift. An independent variable was the design of the wings. One was a block shaped, one was a slant shape, and one was a curved shape. The dependent variable was the lift and drag on each wing, measured in newtons. The constants were the wing speed, which was approximately 10 meters per second, the wing position, which was midway between the top of the box I used and the bottom, and the angle of attack, which was extremely important, or else the drag and lift could be changed. That was one of the things that was not exactly constant in my experiment, one of the things I would have changed. Now, materials. My materials were three wings made of balsa wood, a cardboard box to make a wind tunnel for the air to pass through, and a force sensor there to measure the force, lift, and drag in newtons. My procedure was first to attach the wings at these four spots. One here, one here, one here, and one here. So it could be well supported and it didn't fall off. Then I would get the wind source, or a blow dryer, turn on cool mode so it would be safe for the string, and then blow it straight on at the wing so it didn't have a poor angle of attack. Then I'll collect the data and point here for the lift so that when it was lifted, the force sensor could measure the lift, and the point right here so it can measure the drag, and there would be a chain connected to it, so when it was pulled, the drag would be measured in newtons. So block had an average of 1/100th of a newton for lift, slant had -300ths, and for curve, it was an average of no force, which means that the weight and the lift were equal. For drag, it was 51 thousandths for block, 44 thousandths for slant, and an average of 300ths for curve. As you can see, for lift, my hypothesis was not supported because block has a large amount of lift, though I did not say that, and slant has a very extremely low and even negative amount of lift, even though I said it would do median. Curve has no force, probably meaning that its design was not good or bad, but would not help you when you're taking off for flights. As you can see, the variability for lift is very high, especially for curve here. As for block, it was varied, and for slant, it was less varied, yet also very poor. As you can see, the drag was much more predictable, with block doing the worst because of its flat shape, not inhibiting a very good design. Slant and median because it was similar to block and curve did the best because of its efficient shape directing the wind. As you can see, the data for drag is errored. As you can see, there's many problems with it, and this was definitely due to errors, especially trials 2 and trials 10, which I would have redone. As I said in the beginning, there are 3 main laws which govern my experiments. The Bernoulli effect, and as you can see, this is acting on the slanted wing. Bernoulli effect with the high pressure acting on the low pressure here. The Coanda effect with directing the wind back behind the wing. And the Newton's third law with the forces being directed in different directions for a strong efficiency, or in the case of block, a very low efficiency. So at the end of this experiment, I realized that I was not doing one experiment, but 2. One on lift and one on drag. So for lift, my hypothesis was not supported because I said that curve would have the most lift, and it did not. And I said that block had the least lift, and the opposite was true. Block had the most lift. For drag, yes, my hypothesis was supported because I said that block would have the most drag, and curve would have the least drag, which is what happened. So what I would have done differently? If I was to redo this experiment, I first off would have gotten rid of some of the variability, example of trials 2 and 10, by doing retrials and redoing parts of my experiment, which were obviously flawed. Procedural flaws I would have gotten rid of, like angle of attack, as I mentioned earlier, with review over my experiment. These are my citations. Thank you all for watching. I'd like to thank my school and my family, and most of all, Mr. Daglish, who helped guide me throughout this experiment.